But the captain's at a party. Pretoria answered the call, like it gone to sleep. Adam Gardner stand tall. In the harbor of Durban, the seal ships ride. The ANC plays a game of seek and hide. They call for the exercise in like the east wind, and point the paging and say they're the ones who sin. Joram was on the nest, I guess at the gate. Now they say who invited them, it must have been fake. Confusion in the Union building, shadows on the wall. Now the truth gets buried in the marble hall. Who is running the land? Tell me, who's in command? Is it the suit in the office or the gun in hand? Oh, that from the Congo to the Pretoria street, the drums of the rock start to skip a beat. No books for the boys, no armor for the chest, but millions for the dollar to go take a rest. And she speaks of an inquiry, a code to be won, but the days turn to weeks and the paper is torn. No answers coming down as the heavy silence, while the heroes in the bush face no rebel violence. Sent to the jungle with no wings in the sky, only 3 helicopters, how can they fly? No medevac coming when they let us to rain. Chased by the rebels, oh the pride and the pain. No uniform, no boot, no boots, away. Look at the budget for the big salute. P7, 2 million for retirement spree. Modern Navy is sinking beneath the sea. Not a submarine moving, not a sailor in sight, but the body lights are burning to look Pretoria night. The chief of defense, he's a law to himself. Cap commander of the Navy puts the stay on the self. Defying the colonial, ignoring the sir, while the ghost of the fly start to wake and to stir. And what's this whisper? What's this dark news? A chairman charged with murder, and he's the one they choose. Promoted to the side, for the dockets go forward. Is this the new story that's being told? Who is running the land? Tell me, who's in command? Is it Siren? Is it Lange? Does Ronnie understand? Oh, from the Crown Hope to the Pretoria street, the drums of the ropes are to skip a beat. No boost for the boys, no armor for the chest, but millions for the 10 around them. Oh, take the rest. The generals are dancing, the politicians are glancing. The money is vanishing, and the soldiers are wandering. Who's the boss? Siren. Who's the boss? Anki. The military's gone rogue in the sun. The parade has only just begun.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello folks, welcome back to the Sunday edition of Chris Wyatt Reports. This is Chris live in central Pennsylvania on February 1st, 2026. Sound check. February 1st sounds pretty good. Welcome back. I hope that wherever you find yourself in the world today, whether it's Vietnam, Communist China, Österreich, the Schweiz, Canada, US, South Africa, Botswana, wherever you find yourself, UK, I wish you the very best today. I hope that your day is going better than it is for some people around the world. Always a bad day for somebody, and hopefully that's not you. All right, well, welcome back. Let's get to it. Lots to talk about today as usual. There's rarely a day that there isn't much happening. That's for darn sure. Even night owls, I wind up spending a lot of time talking about news stories now, which is really meant just to be a conversation between myself and the audience. Night owls, excuse me, I got hiccups all of a sudden here. So I'll do my best to soldier through this. And still having trouble with YouTube acting very strange here. I'm beginning to wonder if maybe somebody's inside my computer. Although all indications are that's not the case. Well, the question Joe Texas asked, does anyone believe there's a future for minorities in South Africa? My question, does anyone believe there's a future for anyone other than a cater in South Africa? That becomes the question ultimately. I think that's a question we have to ask. Is there a future for anyone in South Africa the way things are going? Just out of control. So you may have noticed the title of this stream, and it may have caught you by surprise. We saw leftists and extreme right-wingers crying and screaming for Donald Trump to release the Epstein files. And Trump supported the legislation, immediately signed it when it crossed his desk, and encouraged Congress to pass the legislation before they got it to his desk to reveal as many documents as possible. Another 3 million documents, thousands of videos, and hundreds of thousands of emails were released in the latest tranche of data that came out. And what are we discovering? People all over the world, Bill Gates, the Slovakian Prime Minister, Prince Andrew, and Jacob Zuma are mentioned in the files. Jacob Zuma. What's Jay-Z doing in the files? Well, apparently he was invited to a dinner with a arguably, supposedly claimed sexy, attractive Eastern European woman. Yes, in the UK. So we all know who Natalie is. Dim the lights, Natalie. Now we're going to wondering who Vera is. Who's Vera? Did Jay-Z meet Vera? Did he go to this dinner? No, it's not in some places. It's a handful of people who are spreading propaganda, hoping to influence other their Pat's Pat. And why do they hate me? What have I said that's untrue? Fonts, thank you for the $10. What have I said that's untrue? Who have I gone out of my way to personally attack that's not in the public sector, who's not in the public? Who? Nobody. Nobody. Yeah, the hate is because I'm over the target. And these people who are trying to impoverish, imprison, and miserize the lives of South Africans, black, white, and brown, and American, don't like it. They don't like it. Yep. No. Freya, he doesn't need change from Sharks to Stormers. No. Especially after the big win this week, and they deserve their glory. No. I prefer the cash over someone being a Stormers fan. Golda Kruger. I'm the only one talking the truth. Yeah, I don't know if that's true, Golda, but I'm one of the few, that's for sure. And the other thing of the matter is, too, is that there's a lot of envy. Even though my channel views are down significantly this month, they really are. They're still much larger than they were a year ago. My channel is beating the pants off many folks in South Africa, and that is making people jealous. Yep. No, of course they're trying to twist words, but that's because they're idiots. They can try all they want. It doesn't change the facts. Trump's immigrant wife movie is an absolute joke. Well, Sean, that's your view. That's your view. Apparently it went over very well and made a lot of money over the weekend. So, yes, Mark, a lot of people hate success unless they're the ones achieving it. Yep. Yeah, so they can hate all they want. Some of them are here right now, quietly in the background, looking for that moment they can go, he said it. But they're not going to get that. Not unless, of course, they lie. Webwolf, thank you for becoming a member. Trix, thank you for your 10.49 super chat. It is very, well, it's beyond sour grapes. It's also defamation. It's also criminal injury. These are civil actions. Look, I've engaged attorneys in South Africa, and there's a few of these folks that really keep doing this at their own risk. I haven't engaged any attorneys in America for it, but there are people in South Africa who now had better be a little more careful about what they post about other people, because I've engaged attorneys. Yep. So, if they want to spend their life, going bankrupt, paying money off to me. Yep. Nikki Hayton's membership is now 4 months old. Thank you, Nikki. Sorry. Excuse me. It's a powerful clearance there. Many Zuma fanboys are now going to cry about the Epstein files. Oh, exactly. See, a local newspaper, City Press, finally reported your story. The refugee. Really? Okay, City Press? Didn't see that. That's part of Media 24. Let's go find that. Or no, I think it's the... Let's see. City Press on the News 24, yeah. I don't see it. Let me see if they've got this. I'll search my name. Maybe they probably didn't include my name in the story. No. I'll try refugee and see what comes up under City Press refugee. Oh, they do. Yep. Oh, no, that's the story. That's okay. That's okay, yeah, but okay, yeah. So that's an interview that I helped set up. Okay, we'll just go and lead with that story with the news. Okay, that's an interview I helped set up, and that interview was just conducted yesterday, and the story is already appearing. That's from Rapport. That's a journalist from Rapport whom I helped get access. They wanted to cover the story. So hang on a second. Sorry. Yeah, so that's the story. I don't have a cough. I just got some mucus built up there. So that's the story from Rapport that I helped set up with Anthony and with Elvira. But Elvira was not available for the interview. She was out. Colored refugee family says Trump's program is not only for white South Africans. Ruhan Friedrichs. Anthony and Elvira Muller fled to South Dakota last month with their 2 children after brutal house robbery in Wellington. The family says people are shocked to learn that colored people can access Trump's refugee program. At least 30 of the 1,114 who've arrived in the USA since May last year were not white. Well, it's more than 30. There's more than 30. But yeah, I think he's going off an estimate that I said that's how many I knew. It is untrue that U.S. President Trump's refugee program is only for white Afrikaners, says a colored couple from Wellington who recently settled as refugees. Anthony Muller's wife Elvira fled from South Africa last month together with their 9-year-old daughter and 6-year-old son. Muller says it was a difficult decision. We had to decide what's best for us and for our children's safety. What's better, to be able to eat biltong or to live? It's difficult, but we're in a better place. He was born in Wellington, grew up in a rural settlement, late 1990s, a bunch of wannabe gangsters, and it wasn't safe. Since Elvira and I met 18 years ago, our lives started moving in a certain direction. Yep. 4 black men entered the house, tied us up. They threatened to rape Elvira and ransack the house. They eventually fled with our car. Nothing ever came of the case or police investigation. He believes the robbers thought they would find white people in the house. It was race-related. It's a white neighborhood, and we happened to be the victims. One of the men even asked what we were doing there among the white people. See? Race-related. Coloreds are in the same boat as whites. That night's events made the decision so much easier. I spoke to Elvira about the refugee program, and I think that night haunted her. The government is not on our side, and criminals have just too many rights in South Africa. He says it's very sad to say goodbye to his parents and in-laws, realizing they might never see each other in person again. Yep. Quite a few interested people have already asked them about the refugee program. They're especially surprised when they see the program is not exclusive for white Afrikaners. And who has told the world since February 7th of 2025 the program is not for white South Africans exclusively? Who is the only person that's told anybody? That's why they hate me. That's why the people are writing nonsense. That's why. Because South Africa is being bled dry because of the stupidity of the government officials. That's why these leftist hate wankers who work on behalf of the government in their interest are writing stuff about me that are lies. Because I've told the truth. And the truth would eventually come out. They can ignore me all they want. They can shadow ban me all they want. They can lie and malign and commit criminal injury and slander and defamation of character. All they want against me. It doesn't change the truth. The objective truth is there for anybody that wants to know it. Thank you for your membership. The truth is there. And I alone have been reporting it from the outset. I alone. Nobody else has reported this. Nobody. From the outset. From the very beginning. February 7th. When I said I hoped it would include ethnic minorities. The video is still up from a year ago. February 10th, I clearly announced that the government said that they would take racial minorities. People are so shocked to see that we as coloreds could be accepted in the program. Yes, because they're all idiots and racist. Because they believe the cock that comes out of the media in South Africa and the politicians. Ronald them all lying. They would hope that people wouldn't find out about this program. This is why I'm reviled by these people. Because they're liars, they're leugners, betrügners, and verraaiers who hate the truth. That's why they attack me. We feel very safe. We're now staying in a 2-bedroom flat, but we hope to buy our own little place one day. Our children started school on Tuesday, and they're so excited they're thoroughly enjoying it. Chris Wyatt, a former colonel in the U.S. military news analyst, says there are also Indians who settled in the U.S. as part of the program. He says since May last year, when the first 59 arrived in the U.S., a total 1,055 had joined them by December 31st. I've spoken about 300 of them. At least 30 of them were not white. That's where he's getting that figure from the 300 I talked to. I don't talk to everybody. Not everybody reaches out to me. A lot of these refugees coming over don't know who the hell I am, which I find shocking, but that's fine. So that's what that story is. I'm going to send that to Anthony right now. That's a really good story and an honest story. Well done to the author. Ruan, well done. That's news. That's news. Actual, truthful news. Okay, what's going on here? WhatsApp, is it locked up? God bless it. Oh, WhatsApp can be so frustrating. Let me just crash it and see if we can do it again. Okay. Okay. All right, so that's a great news. Thank you for that. So that story comes from Rapport, and so I've got it. Let me save that one. Told people all along, they just don't want to believe the truth. They want to believe the nonsense that they see in fake stream media. Thank you for that, guy, for that story. Hey, Debbie, what's going on? Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes is a leftist hate-wanking website. It always has been. Good movies are revolved there. Crappy movies are promoted there. I wouldn't buy anything on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know whether that's good or bad. 99%. I wouldn't listen to it. But that's me. You can watch whatever you want. 70% of refugees return to South Africa. Are you actually? Are you saying that with a straight face? Where's this news at? 70% have returned to South Africa. None have returned to South Africa. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Where does that come from, Visible Man? Please tell me where that comes from. Is that a joke? Are you going to have a happy birthday for one of your program? I hadn't thought about that. Pat's Pat, actually, I facilitated the interview. I hosted the Zoom session, and I was present, and I added some background. I was quoted in there. So yes, I was quoted. They did reach out to me. I was in the interview, not affecting the interview, just in the background, providing the underlying infrastructure for the thing to happen. And also was another interview for a story that'll be coming out soon on another outlet. Like I said, you deal in facts, you report the truth, and the BSers can't handle the fact that you're honest. Yep. Yeah, because they're just liars. They're used to it. Truth Seeker, thank you for 8 months of membership. You're very welcome. And some of the commentators are still riding on the car guard story. What they don't realize, if you're able to be a car guard in the U.S., you'll be paid in dollars. And exactly. First off, we don't have car guards. That doesn't exist in America. We do have squeegee people on the street who clean windows, but we don't have car guards. WhatsApp is secure. It is encrypted, Alan. 3 retired judges and admiral. Yeah, no, that's old news. I covered that guy. Or where will 7% of refugees get the money? Exactly. Yeah, where are they getting the money from? I haven't seen anything about, at least as of an hour ago there, Belinda Roberts, about Iran attacking the U.S. in Qatar. The absolute crap that's being spewed out there is insane and frustrating, hence why we tune in here. The false book news. I mean Facebook. Oh yeah, well that's toxic. I told you all stay off Facebook. It's just lies. First off, how would they know that 70%? In order for 70% of the refugees to have returned, that means that 2,100 refugees will have gone back to South Africa. Seriously? Anybody that's met a U.S. refugee who has a refugee stamp on their passport that has flown to South Africa since May 12th of last year up till today, please contact me. You had a conversation with a South African refugee who showed you in their passport that they were a refugee. And tell me the date they returned to South Africa, please. I challenge anyone. I challenge you. Please. I'll give you an interview if you want. Honest review, because the ratings are bad. You bet your ass it's going to be a good movie. Oh, yeah, exactly, JDP. That's why I don't like it. Doubt they can find even one person as returned refugee. No, they can't because there are none. Fact is people just believe all this BS and fake media and they don't question it. Yeah, I think they don't know the difference between refugee, asylum, and immigrants. Only some immigrants, exactly. Yes, exactly. People come home all the time. H-2A visa, they come home because they have only a 6-month period they're allowed to be here. Thank you, Salom Balom. I appreciate that. Rotten potatoes. Even the Discord refugee groups ask for screenshots of passport and photos in the RSC email to join. No. No. Why are you joining a group? Do not join any group that asks for your passport information, for your birthplace. No. Do not give out your personal. Do not do that. All right, here's an alarm bell. If someone online is asking you for personal information to join a group, tell them to foot-sec. They have no business having that information. You put yourself at risk. Do not do that. I've been warning you about this for a year. Do not do that. Call from Nigeria. Exactly, guys. It's a scam. That's another one. I need to make a video about that when I'm done here, about Nigeria. People keep getting these phone calls from Nigeria, and some of them are almost falling for it. +234 is a Nigeria country code. +234. You see any phone call from Nigeria, unless you happen to know Dangote personally, block the number. Yeah, Facebook should be shut down, yeah. Okay, so I see my mods are missing this. I'll have to take care of it. Okay. Oh, that's why. All right, so that's what has to happen when my mods miss something that needs to be removed. So someone's been given a timeout for the behavior. Sorry about that. Receiving 1,000 emails, Colonel should be careful by clicking links they're sending, making them the... I have no idea what Alibaba is saying. Exactly. It's just like, there are only whites, only Afrikaners, white people can go. That's all to dissuade people from applying for the program. Yep. Thank you for your membership, donors. And El Marie. Emil, excuse me. Emil Bernard. Apologies. Misread that. Oh, they threatened to blow up. Well, that's very different than having attacked. That's a statement. Yeah, well, they can threaten all they want. They haven't blown anything up yet. Okay. Colonel, show your board for us. I see new staff. Huh? What do you mean, Betscorp? Yeah, don't. You guys should stay away from that stuff. Is it true that Russian and Chinese are sending force to help them? No, it's not. Where do you guys get this stuff from? I tell you, the nonsense people come up with. Well, don't listen to 995s. Ignore them. Who's paying for those 2,100 people to return to South Africa? Seriously. 2 South Africans attest to the reaction of people who say it did not sit well with Americans. That's bullshit too. That's bullshit too, because however you frame things is how it matters. Also, asking people that know nothing about South Africans, you might get bigots and racists that don't like black people. Like, I don't want them here because they hate black people. They think they're black. When they're everything. Would you know why refugees have been asked to send in passport photos even after they have biometrics done? Again, this is not the time for refugee questions. That comes at 2 p.m. Please ask those questions then. I used to pretend you were Ster-Kinekor. Which movie do they want to book? That's a clever thing. You reached the Ster-Kinekor automated line. Which city are you located in? I'm sorry. I do not recognize that response. Which city are you located in? Johannesburg, Pretoria, Port Elizabeth, Cape Town, Durban. Durban. The Ster-Kinekor, located on 2257 Beach Drive. Today's show times are, please select the following choices. Lunch, I don't eat lunch, Marie. No, I have no time for lunch. I ate yesterday for the first time at 8 p.m. Yep. And yesterday from 3:30 until 7:30, I was at the Veterans Place taking care of business there. Unfortunately, I had a very unpleasant job, something I didn't look forward to. I had to go as we let an employee go yesterday. Employee who has got some health issues that has been, and not because they mean to, not because they're malicious, not because they're mean or incompetent, but they're causing all kinds of accounting errors, and customers are complaining about not getting their orders properly and being overcharged and being charged different amounts for the same thing. And the person is struggling mightily, and we've tried as long as we can, but we're losing business. Customers just keep not coming anymore because that bartender's there. So the difficult decision was reached after months of trying to help this person, but it's doing severe damage to the organization that we had to let the person go. More than generous, but it's unfortunate. And the thing is that the people that were in the conversation, myself and the other board member who had to let the person go because the club manager was in the hospital with her husband, we liked the person, but liking someone, it doesn't mean they're getting the job done. It was really sad and unfortunate. Had to do that. Then I did a 50-50 raffle, not raffle, but draw for people. And then I also, we did a coloring contest last night in which we had a panel of 3 judges. We went through 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students in local schools who did a patriotic coloring in thing. So let me go I'm going to show you the winners before we get to the news. Hang on. So the Veterans for Foreign Wars, they have a Patriots Pen contest in which they have an essay for kids around the country to write, and they can win scholarships, they win awards. They also have a coloring contest for younger kids, and they pick a patriotic theme each year. So this year's, and let me just do these. So this is the 2nd grade. Is this 2nd grade? Hang on. Second. This is a 2nd grader, okay? And this is so the image is there, but they have to color it in. This is what a 2nd grader did. Look at that. That's pretty darn good. Look at that. I mean, it's clever. They even put the green down here to kind of show the background, which isn't even part of the image. And the drum has got a nice color to it and a tinge and patriotic. That's brilliant for a 2nd grader. I think that's very well done. So that's a 2nd grader. Now this is a 3rd grader. Yep. From another local school. That's a 3rd grader. Also well done. Yeah, some really good skills here from some of these kids. This is a 4th grader. So here we go. This is a 4th grader, what they colored in. So we had 87 entries, and we had to pick a winner from each grade, so 4 grades. And this is a 5th grader. Now check out this 5th grader. So this 5th grader did some really great detail on this eagle. Check it out. That's pretty good, huh? So it's a coloring competition. So these will be forwarded to our next level higher headquarters, and they'll be competing against other people in the region. Yeah. So I've never even looked to see what the gender of these children are. Let's just take a look. See, that's a girl. That's, I think, a boy. That's a girl. And that's a boy. So, just the way things work out in life, we didn't even look at gender. We didn't look at the schools that they go to. We just looked at the images, laid them all out on the table, and then I had each of the 3 judges go through and pick the ones that they thought were the best one for each of those grades. And then we went back through and we confirmed. We deliberated looking at, do we agree this is the best one? We agreed. And it turns out that 2 were boys, 2 were girls. Look at that. Just happenstance. Just the way life works out. Cool. Anyway, yeah, so that's every year. So I will scan these, and then we'll take the hard copies down to these folks. Grade 1 is usually age 5 or 6. Yep, so grade 2 would be 6 or 7 years old. Yep. Yep, there you go. So that's pretty cool, huh? So that's the other things we do. And then after that, I did the 50-50 running around selling tickets and was raised over $100 before I left. And then I came home, and then I unplugged for a little bit. Unplugged. I needed a break last night. Saturday night's the one night that I'm not doing regularly night owls, and so I took advantage of it, relaxed, decompressed, put a couple movies on, and just kind of vegged a little bit and then fell asleep. James going to have to improve his coloring game. Show them here, and we will vote on the poll, and you can tell who is the winner on your channel. I don't understand, Corey. I just showed them. What do you mean? All right, so there you go. All right, back to the story. Back to the news, I should say, not to the story. Now my eyes are messed up from putting those glasses on. All right, so let's get to the lead, why people are here. People tuned in for the following. Jacob Zuma, his name appears in the Epstein files. The 3 million documents that were released, Jacob Zuma is in there. What does that mean? Is Jay-Z going to Epstein Island? No, he did not go to Epstein Island, not that we're aware of. And MK Party is calling it a slander campaign. It's not a slander campaign, it's a statement of fact. Former President Jacob Zuma in the Epstein files. U.S. Justice Department files expose a 2010 Ritz Hotel dinner hosted by Jeffery Epstein for South Africa's then President Jacob Zuma. Documents released by U.S. Department of Justice in January confirmed that former South African President Jacob Zuma attended a dinner organized by Jeffrey Epstein in London during his 2010 state visit to the UK. He undertook a 3-day visit from March 2nd to March 5th at the invitation of late Queen Elizabeth. His official program included banquets at Buckingham Palace, where he stayed, and meetings with then Prime Minister Gordon Brown, Lord Peter Mandelson, and the Prince of Wales, as well as a keynote address to UK Parliament. Zuma's final official engagement was a meeting with NGOs at South Africa House on the 5th of March. Emails contained in the Epstein files, which run for more than 3,000 pages, show Epstein arranged a dinner for Zuma at the Ritz Hotel on the evening of March 5th. One email, dated March 4th, says, I have been asked to help arrange a small dinner tomorrow night for President Jacob Zuma of South Africa at the Ritz Hotel at 7 p.m. The message was sent by Mark Lloyd, identified in the correspondence as assisting Epstein's arrangements. Ooh la la. And so Darlene has given us 70 Rand. Thank you for your help. You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. A Russian model was invited to attend the dinner. In her reply, she confirmed her acceptance and asked whether a cocktail dress would be suitable. Just a slip would be fine, sweetheart. You know, something revealing Victoria's Secret, maybe. A subsequent email from Lloyd to Epstein on March 6th described that model as magnificent. Ooh, the chicas, the white chicas are coming, baby. Ooh, yeah. Zuma displayed more gravitas and none of the macho bluster he is generally portrayed as having in the tabloid press. He noted that in email. Epstein also informed Mandelson of the dinner, writing, Mark, Lloyd is having dinner for Zuma tomorrow night at the Ritz. I've invited a beautiful Russian named Vera, I think it is, to attend. It's not clear from the documents whether Mandelson was present. Now, I don't know if it's really Vera. That's the name that's being tossed about in the media, so I don't know. But it was redacted in the actual thing. Separate emails released earlier show Epstein transferred 10,000 pounds to Mandelson's partner, Reinaldo Alva da Silva. Spokesman Mzwanele Miani said the so-called revelation published by Daily Maverick is a textbook example of agenda-driven journalism built on innuendo, third-party emails, and retrospective guilt by association. At no point does the article allege, let alone establish, any lawful or improper conduct by Jacob Zuma. The attempt to smear President Zuma by proximity to the unrelated crimes with third parties is unethical, irresponsible, and intellectually dishonest. The Jacob Zuma Foundation will not participate in speculative narrative building disguised as investigative journalism. The matter is closed. But you do exactly that when it comes to Donald Trump. Every word you said there applies perfectly to Donald Trump. We could give that to Trump's spokesperson. He could say the same thing. The so-called revelation published by newspapers is a textbook example of agenda-driven journalism built on innuendo, third-party emails, and retrospective guilt by association. Boom, shakalaka, case closed, matter is closed. All the speculation about Trump, all these lies about Trump, that's exactly that. So thank you, Jacob Zuma's foundation, for giving the defense to Donald Trump that has long been due him. There you go. There you go. Well said. Smear attempt. Ooh. Magnani dismisses Epstein emails linking Zuma to dinner with sex offender and model. Interesting to say the least. Emails reveal that Jacob Zuma, then South African president, had dinner with Jeffrey Epstein in London in 2010. The emails detailed arrangements for the dinner, including the presence of a magnificent Russian model. Ooh, what's with these Russian models? Why do they like these chicas with the blue eyes and the bleach blonde hair? A vast trove of thousands of documents, emails related to Jeffrey Epstein released by the Justice Department reveals the names of politicians the late child sex offender ate, drank, and rubbed shoulders with. And one of them was Jacob Zuma. Now that's true. They're not denying that. But again, innuendo. Former President Jacob Zuma in the Epstein files. 2010 Ritz Hotel dinner hosted by Jeffrey Epstein. Oh my goodness, it's all over the place. Well, that's enough of that story for the moment. Yep. People keep on moaning, release all the files, it's done. Now that other names are mentioned, it could be called... Exactly. Release the files, release the Kraken. Why is Trump hiding this? Where were you when the Democrats held on to it for 4 years? Joe Biden and his crooked Justice Department, his Department of Injustice, had all this information available to them. Alejandro Mayorkas, he's the immigration guy. Anyway, they had all this stuff available to them for years. For years, 4 years. Not one release. Donald Trump becomes president. Oh, suddenly he's hiding something. Trump has released Epstein documents 6 times. 6 times over the course of 1 year. An average of every other month. And it's not enough. And now that their names are coming, Bill Gates, Jacob Zuma, the Slovakian Prime Minister, Prince Andrew, members of Congress, now that their names are coming out, oh, it's misinformation. No, it's guilt by innuendo, guilt by association. They didn't do anything wrong. Really? That's what we said about Trump, but that wasn't satisfactory for you all. Not my audience, but for those folks. Yes, he look, Jacob Zuma owes us, look, we all owe Jacob Zuma a great debt of gratitude. We do. Let's be honest. We owe Jacob Zuma a debt of gratitude. Right? We do. Does anybody know why? Does anybody know why we owe him a debt of gratitude? Well, his own self-proclaimed cure for HIV. He told us that he knows how to cure HIV. He did. He takes a shower after having sex. According to Jacob Zuma, that will ward off HIV. Thank goodness for that. So if any of you are misbehaving, I mean, I wouldn't recommend following his advice. I would. Crippy, welcome to you, 35 Rand. And the Andmo machine, greetings, been away, went to steal some land. Oh, good for you. I'm sorry to hear you stole land. Did you secure it? Yep. So Jacob Zuma did tell us how to prevent HIV. He said take a good warm shower after the fact. We remember that, right? Oh, don't forget the Protex soap. That's right. Apparently that helps. The Shalanga Commission uncovers a web of lies at the top of policing and politics. Well, that's not a surprise. We knew that. At least 14 senior South African police service and Ekurhuleni officials referred for criminal and disciplinary investigation. Why not criminal charges? Why are we, this commission is 7 months old, 8 months old. Oh, look at that cackling hyena. He urged law enforcement to act swiftly on the commission's referrals. Swiftly? You formed this commission in July of last year. August, September, October, November, December, January, 6 months ago, and nobody's been charged with a crime. So what happens now? 6 months from now, we'll finally start to see the investigation being referred to the president, and 2 months later, okay, now we'll consider charges, just in time for the election to show that you're actually doing something about the corruption in South Africa? Wow. Well, the public protector is looking into the Nelson Mandela Mayor. Yeah, Nelson Mandela Bay Mayor is apparently leasing out a city-owned transformer for 250,000 Rand a month to a private business. There's the mayor, Babalawa Lobishi. A far cry from Athol Trollop, I'll tell you. The public protector has been asked to probe Nelson Mandela Bay Mayor Babalawa Lobishi's decision to rent out municipal transformer to a private company in a deal worth 250,000 Rand per month. Koga Steel is a private steel manufacturing company based in the Koga Industrial Development Zone, needed the transformer after one of its own units was alleged to have packed up. The deal burst in the open when angry councilors balked at an October council meeting after being asked to sign it. Now, that's interesting. So why is the city of Nelson Mandela Bay getting 3 million Rand a year to lease a transformer? Why don't they just buy a transformer? Hi, greatly appreciate your efforts, support efforts. Just a question, do you read your emails? Just worried that I use incorrect. I do read my emails, Dion, but I have thousands of emails. I can't read all thousands of them. If you sent me an email, you need to send it to the correct email on this address. And what I suggest you do is get the email from one of the moderators who will post it now, and then send me a message and put your username in the title for the subject line for the email and tell me that you sent me a super chat here. Okay? Please do that. I get thousands of emails every day. I have 7 email accounts that I keep track of. Probably a few that I don't keep track of. Yep. So I don't read them all. I also have thousands of WhatsApp, Telegram, and Signal messages too. And they are the moderators that put it up. Mkwanazi says he regrets accepting money from the cat. I feel so bad. Julius Mkwanazi says he regrets taking money from the cat. Seriously? 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 Of course you regret. You got caught. You got caught. Of course you regret. The King's Speech and why it has foreigners in South Africa so worried. South Africa's Zulu king has raised eyebrows by using highly derogatory term for foreigners and saying they must leave the country during a much hyped speech that was supposed to have been aimed at calming anti-migrant feelings. Mrs. Zulu Kwazwelithini was addressing his supporters at the place where 20,000 Zulu warriors defeated the British contingent of 1,800 soldiers 147 years ago at his son Luana. The ire of many of the king's subjects is now directed not at British invaders, but at migrants from neighboring countries like Lesotho, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe who've come to South Africa. According to official statistics, the country has home to 2.4 million migrants, 4% of the population. Actually, it's about 6 million. The 51-year-old monarch did not advocate violence, but said all Kwakwere, an offensive word for African migrants, must pack their bags even if they were in relationships with South Africans and had children with them. We must now sit down and discuss this because even if my nephew's father is a Kwakwere, the Kwakwere must leave. Only the child will remain. And there you have South African xenophobia raising its ugly head again. The Zulu king spreading hatred far and wide. Many have been online quick to point out the irony of his remarks, considering that the king's own mother is from Swaziland and one of his wives is from the neighboring kingdom. But this sort of xenophobia has long been an issue in South Africa, leading to deadly outbreaks of violence. He said he was misquoted. No, he wasn't misquoted. King Mzulu spread his hatred just fine. He spread it just fine. No intention to do anything other than spread hatred. Angela Shaker's Iran inquiry apparently has hit a procedural bungle. An article in the Defense Act stipulates that only members of the military may sit on the board of inquiry. Huh. So the judges can't be there. So they don't even know the law. I've told you, Minister 30% doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't even know the law regarding inquiries. Boards of inquiries apparently can only be comprised of members of the military, not civilian judges. Oh my goodness. Okay, what is going on over here? Why can't people stop acting like children in the chat? I'm going to just start giving people timeouts. I'm going to start giving timeouts. Yep. I mean, honestly, thank you, Guy. It's very selfish of people to whine about me answering emails. I have no obligation to answer any of your emails. Yet I sit here at 1 o'clock till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning every morning answering emails from people. Some of you all selfish ought to take a look at the timestamp on the email when I sent it. They ought to take a look at the timestamp on the email when I sent it. Anyway, so apparently the NG Masheka doesn't even know their own law, the own Defense Act law that governs military tribunals, military investigations. Doesn't even know it. Well, so now we get to some op-eds. This one's from Peter Bruce in the Times Live. Expel Israeli, but then cocktails with Iran. The announcement of Peter Bruce is a smart guy. Very well recognized, but he's got this Trump derangement syndrome, which undermines a lot of his commentary. But let's see what he says about this. The announcement on Friday that South Africa is given the charge d'affaires at the Israeli embassy 72 hours to leave the country will set off yet another round of accusations, counter-accusations among all of us. It will eventually inevitably strain relations with the U.S. even further. But the decision to expel Ariel Simon, the most senior diplomat, has at least one virtuous quality. It is consistent. Really? South Africa is implacably opposed to the way Israel has behaved in Gaza, killing tens of thousands of civilians in vastly disproportional response to the murderous attack on Israel on October 7, 2023 by Hamas. Now, that is a pretty objective statement. South Africa is implacably opposed to the way Israel has behaved in Gaza, killing tens of thousands of civilians in a vastly disproportional response to the murderous attack on Israel. So he admits that the terror attack was murderous, the date that it happened. He also admits there were tens of thousands killed, and he calls it vastly disproportional. And that's the argument I've always made. I've always said that you can argue about Israel's attack in Gaza, but it was legitimate in self-defense. However, it's a question of proportionality. Peter Bruce is also saying that. Well said. Let's see where he goes from there. The Iran finance group that controlled Gaza, Hamas. We've taken Israel to the International Court of Justice, accusing of genocide, a position now supported by a wide array of nations, not really, including many members of NATO. There's little doubt that our stance in Israel lies behind the hostility we now face from the U.S. That's untrue. But some distance our most profitable trading partner. More than 600 U.S. companies operate in South Africa, supporting 200,000 jobs directly and probably more than 1 million indirectly. The government accuses Simon of violating South Africa's sovereignty, a reference to a rather silly diplomatic embrace of a Xhosa king. He has also used South Africa's social media platforms to insult President Ramaphosa. I didn't see it. Okay, here's one he says. A memorable example was the Israeli embassy tweet after Ramaphosa complained the U.S. decision to exclude South Africa, describing the complaint as a rare moment of wisdom and adding that boycotts don't work. Well, that's the only comment that's on his account, Peter Bruce. The only one. Show me the other ones. That's actually the one I've already referenced in this program. That's actually the comment that I referenced. That's the only one where he says anything. And it wasn't even his post. Was it? It was his tweet, excuse me, yeah. The expulsion will serve as a distraction ahead of other difficult decisions Ramaphosa may surely face. The powerful Israeli lobby in the U.S. will pile on more pressure on Washington to respond, sanctions on ANC leaders, perhaps or pressure on our partners. We'll have to wait and see. We will need to remain calm and measured. So Israel tick, but Iran murders its citizens. South Africa is living proof that not all evil happens between states, and yet we consort with Iran in naval exercises or at diplomatic cocktail parties with their excellencies in Pretoria and Tehran. And when Dangor says we need to be consistent in that this is not too difficult, why are we abstaining UN votes that merely seek to investigate the atrocities in Iran? For crying out loud, how weak-kneed is Durko or the ANC or Ramaphosa? Very weak-kneed. He cannot bring himself to condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and he still hasn't. China jails pro-democracy advocates in Hong Kong and wantonly abuses the mainly Muslim Uyghurs. They may not be Palestinian, but they're not people. Aren't they not people deserving of our compassion and solidarity as well? Dangor's call for consistency is the key to forging a common purpose in South Africa's foreign relations. But if he truly means it, we'll need a lot more convincing. Yep. Yes, and Sean Swanby actually answers Peter Bruce correctly here. Proportionality in war means a response in proportion to the threat. It means the battle plan minimizes civilian casualties. It does not mean comparing deaths on one side versus the other. Israel faced an existential threat. Hamas, in its charter, in its announcements, and through its protests by supporters, does not recognize Israel's right to exist and want to purge the land of Jews. Israel did everything in their power to minimize civilian deaths. The ratio of combatants to civilian deaths is extremely low. Exactly right. So that's a good point. That's a good point. But again, my question is proportionality was the destruction of all of Gaza. So Sean Swanby, I agree with your statement, and I oppose what Peter Bruce talks about there. But I do agree that there is a question of proportionality. And Bruce is correct in that. So, yep, yeah, you just can't take things the way they are, folks. You got to look into it. Here's another op-ed. Ramaphosa's wasted years worse than Zuma's. Of course they are. I've been saying this for years. Economic growth is lower, unemployment is higher, and investment drives have failed. What have I been telling you for 6 years on this program? 6 years, especially the last 3 years. It's a failed experiment. Cyril Ramaphosa has been a disaster for South Africa. The ANC has been a disaster for South Africa, particularly in the last decade. Utterly ridiculous. This is an op-ed. When Cyril Ramaphosa became president in 2018, his supporters said he would bring an end to 9 wasted years. It could not get worse, they said, but it did get worse, politically and economically. The time has come for an unemotional debate about the 8 wasted years under Ramaphosa. Starting with politics, we were told that Ramaphosa was popular, business-friendly, and liked by white people. But 2 national electoral disasters in 2019 and 2024, where the ANC lost 4.65% and then 17.32% points respectively, account for 85% of the party's 25.72% decline loss since 2009. He, not Jacob Zuma, is responsible for the loss. During the 2021 local elections, the ANC suffered an 8.6% decline to 46.12%, and they will suffer more in 2026, 2027. If one looks at the economy, there were annual GDP growth rates of 2.7 under Nelson Mandela, 4% under Thabo Mbeki, 1.9% under Jacob Zuma, and 0.6% under Ramaphosa. There you go. Ramaphosa's presidency is objectively the worst since '94. His supporters blame the economic effects of the COVID. Yet from 2018 to 2024, 155 emerging developing countries cruised to an annual GDP growth rate of 3.7%. Emerging and developing Asian economies grew by 5%. Wow. So there you go. I've been telling you this for years, objectively. That's another reason why I'm attacked by the people who support the ANC and these leftist white liberals running around and posting lies and contorting what I say, because that's the truth. And now South Africans are waking up to the reality 8 years late. This is by Duma Kopule. Hardly a white guy. I guarantee that's not a white guy. I don't know any white guy that has a name like that. It's about time that you all woke up, South Africa, and start questioning this stuff. The ANC is responsible. The ANC is responsible. Israel's not inciting violence. Stop it, Sean. Give some stats. If you're going to troll, give some facts, not just an empty opinion. You've got 244 characters, and you can put more than one message in there. Israel's not instigating violence. That's poppycock. Legacy of kindness. The farewell to David Shijobe, whose smile touched the community. He was run down on his cycle. David Shijobe, beloved security officer at the MultiChoice in Randburg, died after being struck by a car while cycling to work. Known for his warm smile and friendly greetings along Bram Fisher Road, he was admired for his kindness, resilience, and passion for cycling and charity. Tributes and condolences have poured in from community members, colleagues, friends, and celebrating his lasting impact and positive experience. He was killed after being struck by a car while cycling to work on Friday. On Saturday, video entertainment company MultiChoice announced his passing. He served as a front-of-house security officer at the Randburg head office, and he worked for them for a decade. For many, David's friendly greetings and daily interactions along Bram Fisher Drive became a welcome and uplifting part of the day. He represented the values of respect, kindness, and human connection. His contribution extended well beyond his formal role. He cycled to work every day, was an avid long-distance cyclist who used sport to manage his health and inspire others. Wow. And there he is. Oh, that's so sad. No mention of how he was killed or what happened if the motorist was caught. Really sad. Unfortunate. A life snuffed out far too soon. Looking for a budget-friendly escape? Well, the Independent Line says Port St. John's is the place to go. That river looks kind of at high tide and muddy, does it not? The Umzimvubu River. Port St. John's is the kind of place that stays with you long after the red dust has settled on your car, and it's a destination every South African should experience at least once. While much of the coastline has been developed into high-rise and busy promenades, this town has remained rugged. It's a place where the Umzimvubu River cuts a path through the massive sandstone cliffs known as the Gates of St. John, creating a landscape that feels much older and more soul-stirring than your average beach town. There you go. What makes it so special is a complete lack of pretension. It's one of the few coastal escapes left where affordable isn't just a marketing buzzword. You can find everything from cozy self-catering cottages tucked into the forest to world-renowned backpackers like Amapondo, where the vibe is all about communal fire pits and meeting travelers from every corner of the globe. And hikers can disappear in the wilderness. There you go. South Africa has some beautiful places to visit, folks. Iran's supreme leader warns that any U.S. attack would spark a regional war. Yes, comments from the 86-year-old Ayatollah Ali Khamenei are the most direct threat he's made so far, as U.S. aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln and associated American warships are in the Arabian Gulf. Carol Ann, 70 Rand Super Chat, thank you for that. Thank you. You are a great, strong, caring person. Thank you so much. Remains unclear whether Trump will use force. He's repeatedly said Iran wants to negotiate and has brought up Tehran's nuclear program as another issue he wants to see resolved. Alrighty, there you go. So he's threatening the U.S. Good luck with that, buddy. Well, the second Epstein victim claims she was sent to the UK to have sex with Prince Andrew. Wow, things are not going well for this guy. The second woman is alleging that she was sent to the UK by Jeffrey Epstein for a sexual encounter with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, who was stripped of his titles. The encounter allegedly occurred at the former prince's residence, the Royal Lodge, in 2010. The woman, who's not British, was in her 20s at the time. The woman's lawyer, Brad Edwards, from the U.S., said Edwards Henderson, from the firm Edwards Henderson, said that after spending the night with Andrew, she says she was given a tour of Buckingham Palace and tea. The BBC has asked Andrew Mountbatten Windsor for comment. No comment so far. There he is horseback riding on Saturday, and they've covered the face of whoever's with him there. Wow, this guy had everything. He was an accomplished combat pilot, a prince, and he acted like that. German Football Federation has ruled out a World Cup boycott to oppose Trump. The German Football Federation confirms it met to discuss a boycott, which will be co-hosted by the U.S., along with Canada and Mexico. We believe in the unifying power of sport and global impact that a FIFA World Cup can have, the Federation said. Our goal is to strengthen this positive force, not to prevent it. The federation, known as the DFB, the Deutsche Fußballbund, said its exec committee met and discussed the option of a boycott to the tournament, a consideration first proposed by Vice President Oki Gottlieb, who should be exposed. Oki Gottlieb should be exposed. He should be demonized because he's a hate wanker. He's president of the Bundesliga club St. Pauli, referred to Trump's recent action statements and said that it was time to seriously consider boycott. It's time to seriously consider boycotting Mr. Oki Gottlieb. Yes. So Germany will be there, and the other Europeans will follow suit. They'll all follow suit. Slovakia's prime minister has resigned. The National Security Advisor resigned. Sorry. I think I said prime minister on BizNews. The National Security Advisor of Slovakia's prime minister has resigned after documents released by the U.S. showed he exchanged messages about girls and diplomacy with the late sex offender. Robert Fico announced he accepted Miroslav Lajcik's departure in a video message on Saturday, describing the advisor as an incredible source of experience in diplomacy, foreign policy, and where to find little girls. Oh, I'm sorry, I added that part. Resignation comes a day after 3 million files were released. They didn't show any wrongdoing, but they raised renewed questions about those who associate with Jeffrey Epstein. Indeed, they do. The United States will send an envoy to Venezuela after a 7-year absence. The visit comes nearly a month after Trump ordered a military operation to capture narco-terrorist accused Nicolas Maduro. U.S. envoy landed in Venezuela yesterday to resume diplomatic engagement with the country after a 7-year pause. Just arrived in Venezuela, my team and I are ready to work, said Laura Dogu, chargé d'affaires to the Venezuelan Affairs Unit. Formal diplomatic relations with the United States and Venezuela collapsed in 2019. Maduro initiated the split in January 2019 after the Trump administration refused to recognize him as a legitimately elected president of Venezuela and instead recognized Juan Guaido as the interim president. Then on March 20th, Mike Pompeo announced the withdrawal of U.S. diplomats after the deteriorating conditions there. Well, Team Canada has been accused and apparently found guilty of cheating. Team Canada actions deemed intentional to hinder U.S. competitor chances of Olympic qualification. International investigations determined the Canadian bobsled and skeleton team led a team intentionally altered the outcome of the North America Cup competition by deliberately disqualifying its athletes from the race in January. The issue was raised by U.S. Olympian skeleton skater Katie Ulander, who missed an opportunity to qualify for the upcoming Winter Olympics in Italy after 4 of Canada's 6 women athletes were pulled out of the competition, a move that dropped the number of Olympic qualification points available to athletes. Ulander earned 90 points for first place finish at the final race on January 11th, but if all Canadian athletes competed, she would have earned 120. She and other international teams, including the Dutch, complained about Canada's move, and they investigated. The competition was held in Lake Placid from January 7th to 11th, and 6 women skeleton athletes were registered for competition by Bobsled Canada. The tribunal report said none of the Canadian athletes participated in the first training session, only 2 participated in official training. IBFSF rules require an athlete to compete 2 training heats without incident to be permitted to compete in the race. Thus, none of the Canadian athletes were eligible to compete. The results of the investigation say, however, that while Canada said its decision was made over concerns about its athletes, there was evidence the Canadian team deliberately withdrew the athletes from the competition. The appeals tribunal satisfied the action of the Canadians was intentional and directed at reducing the points available to athletes who slid at the final Lake Placid competition. Despite the finding, the Olympic Movement Code has no provision for the remediation of alleged manipulation, so she'll miss out in the Olympics because Canadian scumbags. Yep. The veteran U.S. athlete had previously said it was about standing up for fairness in sports. Wow. Team Canada says that with regards to most recent appeals tribunal, it's important to recognize that Canada did not violate the competition rules as it relates to entry, withdrawal, or start list procedure. The decision was made in consultation, which is why the case has been dismissed 3 times. No, the Canadians cheated. They cheated to eliminate a powerful competitor who came in first place. The winner of the competition isn't going to the Olympics, which begin tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So the winner of the competition is not going to the Olympics because the Canadians cheated. Yep. Well, the U.S. government has a brief shutdown over the weekend, and it'll end tomorrow when the House votes for the bill, presuming they vote for it. But that's supposed to happen tomorrow. And it's been a partial shutdown. So this is what the scumbag crypt keeper from New York wants to end roving patrols. Nope. Enforce accountability. Well, accountability is enforced. Mask off, body cameras on. No, masks aren't coming off. These people's lives have been put in jeopardy by these insurrectionists who run around with masks on. The United States government entered into what is expected to be a brief shutdown after Congress failed to approve a deal. It didn't fail. The House wasn't in session. There's no failure. That's nonsense. That's not a failure. The failure would be for them to be in session and not take it up. That's a mischaracterization. They did fail to get a budget, but that was before October 1st. A judge will not order Immigration Customs Enforcement to leave Minnesota, and look at the unhappy face on Stolen Valor Waltz and his little buddy, scumbag Obama acolyte, Keith Ellison. A federal judge rules against Minnesota's emergency request to end the surge of federal immigration officers, saying the national government has the right to enforce the law. Thank you. Judge Catherine Menendez, a Biden appointee, delivered a scolding to Homeland Security and to immigration law enforcement agencies, saying the surge in Minneapolis has had heartbreaking consequences. She said there's been racial profiling, excessive use of force, and multiple shootings of residents. There's been no racial profiling. She also said higher courts have urged lower courts to show caution. However, she said that the federal government has the authority, because that's what the Constitution says. It's called the Supremacy Clause. The United States government is supreme. Oh, another Epstein reveal. Yes, the guy in charge of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. Yes, he deeply regrets flirty emails with Ghislaine Maxwell. Casey Wasserman, the chairman of the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games, said he deeply regrets decades-old filthy, flirty emails with Ghislaine Maxwell. His message to Maxwell, sent in 2003, were among millions of files published by the Department of Justice. In one exchange, Wasserman wrote to Maxwell, "I think of you all the time, so what do I have to do to see you in a tight leather outfit?" Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence. "I deeply regret my correspondence with Ghislaine Maxwell, which took place over 2 decades ago, long before horrific crimes came to light." He also emphasized he had never had a personal business relationship with Epstein. As is well documented, I went on a humanitarian trip as part of the delegation for the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation in 2002 on an Epstein plane. I'm terribly sorry for having an association with either of them. He founded a sports and entertainment agency in 2002 and is a trustee of the nonprofit Clinton Foundation. Another person linked to the dirty Clintons, Casey Wasserman. Let's take a closer look into his life and see what he's up to, linked to the Clintons. Yep. ICE arrested 650 in West Virginia, and the state hailed the professionalism of the agents. That's right. ICE quietly surged personnel into West Virginia in January, netting 650 criminal alien evaders, all without violent pushback and chaos that's disrupted in places like Minnesota because they cooperated with law enforcement. The surge lasted from January 5th to January 19th, a little more than 2 weeks, and saw extensive cooperation between Immigration Customs Enforcement and state and local police, who hailed their federal counterparts' professionalism throughout the operation. State and local law enforcement accounted for more than 550 of the arrests, working in cooperation agreements through the 287G program, which trains willing state and local police to help with immigration enforcement. There you go. Governor Patrick Morrisey celebrated the collaboration. "I want to thank the men and women of ICE for the outstanding partnership in various state entities, including the state police, and their tireless work here in West Virginia." And this is what happens when law enforcement and government officials cooperate with federal authorities. No violence, no protest, no shootings, no chaos, no excuses. Yep. See, that's the reality. Here in Pennsylvania, we have the same thing happening. These criminals are being arrested and deported, and we don't see anything happening here, do we? The Democrats have poached a seat from Republicans in a special election in Texas, eroding the GOP's slim House majority. Is this in a redrawn district, I wonder? Democrat Christian Menefee, sounds Ethiopian. Doesn't look Ethiopian, though. Prevailed in a special election for Texas House seat, narrowing what is already a slim majority for Republicans. The 37-year-old former Harris County attorney won a runoff election against fellow Democrat Amanda Edwards, a former Houston City Council member. The two were seeking to replace the late Representative Sylvester Turner, Democrat. So wait a second, these are all Democrat seats. How did they narrow the majority? It doesn't narrow the majority. It just means one more Democrats in Congress, but it wasn't a Republican seat. See, look at this. That's misleading. That's misleading. So before Saturday, Republicans had a 218-213 majority. Now it's 218-214. So it was a vacant seat. So a Democrat won a seat in a Democrat district. And the media, even the Epoch Times, reporting as if the Republicans have lost something here. Seriously? Why don't you lead with Democrat wins special election to Democrat occupied seat, reducing the Republican majority in the House? That's the true news story. Yes, and here's the Hill spreading nonsense here, trying to frighten. Now, they act as if this only affects America. You ready for this? The U.S. is headed for mass unemployment. Oh, no. John McGillion, and no one is prepared. Oh, no. Why? For years, I've opposed basic universal income firmly and reflexively. I treat it as a liberal fantasy, an invitation to idleness, a subsidy for stagnation, a sedative administered by below the state. He's correct. Work, I believe, wasn't merely how societies function, but how men and women found meaning. Pay people for nothing and you dissolve discipline. That's the story. I told it often. But he no longer believes that position survives with the current reality. Something fundamental has shifted, and pretending otherwise is nothing short of denial. The AI revolution is here, and it's gutting entire sectors with hurricane force. So this is an industrial transition nor a replay of mechanization and globalization. It's a technological rupture of a different magnitude. Machines replace not only muscle, but cognition itself, judgment, pattern recognition, reasoning, and it's advancing at a pace that outstrips legislation, labor markets, political capacity, moving faster than most companies are willing to admit. Oh, no, the sky is falling. No, the sky is falling. As if America will be the only person affected by AI. Actually, AI has created more jobs. It's created more jobs and more wealth so far. Eventually, it probably will lead to the redundancy of a lot of people, but then they'll move into other sectors. Idaho is ranked second in the U.S. for population growth last year. Idaho's population growth ranked second with a 1.4% increase. From April 1st to July 1st, 2020 to 2025, Idaho experienced the fastest growth in the country at 10.4%, adding 190,000 new residents, now taking the population over 2 million. Although the state's growth has fluctuated between 1.4 and 1.5 over the past 3 years, it remains higher than the national average of 0.5%. South Carolina led the nation with 1.5% growth, followed by Idaho, North Carolina, Texas, and Utah. Net migration, of course, is a significant factor, contributing 76%, with 90% of these new residents coming from other states. In contrast, natural population growth accounted for just 24% of the growth. So natural population growth out of 2 million people was just 7,000 additional Idahoans. Well, folks, I think you want to know, and so do I. How easy is it to open a daycare center in Minnesota? Let's open a learning center. Should we all open a learning center and get fabulously wealthy with government contracts? Or should we open a refugee NGO and just rake in the money by providing services? Oh, I'm sorry, South Africans, but you can't do that. No. You have to stay in this dilapidated slum because we have an arrangement with the landlord. Shh. And we can't provide any service to you, so you're just on your own. So, foot sec. No, you're not allowed to cash out. Not till all the money's gone, which we claim we've spent on you, but we didn't spend on you. And then we'll give you the money. So should we start an NGO for refugees, or should we start a Laring Center? What should we do, folks? Shall we start a Laring Center? Aspiring child care providers can apply for a license for a small fee in the Twin Cities, even though the Trump administration froze federal funds. So you'll be ready for when Trump's gone. You can start getting Laring Center money again. Minnesota is facing heavy scrutiny after the Trump administration accused bad actors in the state of exploiting federal funds. What do you mean accused? They proved it. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced on December 29th that 98 people, 85 of Somali descent, were indicted in the welfare fraud cases in the state. Minnesota is home to the largest COVID-19 fraud scam in America, as 78 defendants, 72 of Somali descent, were accused of pocketing $300 million to $400 million in feeding our future funds that were supposed to provide children free meals during the pandemic. Abdelaziz Sharafi Farah, the mastermind behind the Feeding Our Future scandal, was sentenced to 28 years in prison in August. Trump administration last month announced it would freeze $885 million in federal funds. So, what do? Oh, we get a license. Aspiring providers have 2 routes to obtain a license: open a child care center or provide services in their home. I'm in favor of opening a Laring Center. An in-home daycare license is hundreds of dollars cheaper and requires potential providers to go through local county for a small fee. Some may be eligible to receive a grant for $2,000 for a startup. Aspiring child care providers seeking licensure in Hennepin and Ramsey counties, which oversees applications in Minneapolis and St. Paul, have to pay a non-refundable $50 application fee. Wow, they have to attend orientation as well. Wow, so we have to attend an orientation and pay a $50 fee to start a learning center. We can have a learning center just for that. That's so cool. Who wants to start a learning center with me, folks? Anybody? All right, 2 things now. I'm going to share this with you. If you're a South African in the United States legally, specifically a refugee but not exclusive refugees, and you would like to have a chance to find out about job opportunities, let me share this with you. Now, I don't endorse this. I also don't say it's good or bad. I'm just sharing it with you. Lili van de Plas was hired by a recruiting service in Texas, presumably because a lot of refugees coming over, and if you are watching our program, surprising to reach out to me to get refugees. But anyway, I'm not looking for employment. But she's been hired by a recruiting agency, and that's a link to a place where you can fill out a form if you're interested. And that came to me Lili van der Plas. So if there's a problem with it, you need to talk to her. But they have jobs that they're recruiting for. They're looking for people. Now, in the current environment, if you're a white-collar employee, particularly in the IT industry, for example, a lot of employers will pay for your move. So if like they put you in Ames, Iowa, where Iowa State's at, and you don't want to be there, you don't have any money to move as a refugee, and you're an IT specialist, and they have a job for you in Santa Cruz, California, they might be willing to pay to fly you to Santa Cruz, pay your deposit for a lease, maybe and find a place you live. So none of that's a promise. I'm just saying that some employers will do that, particularly for white-collar employees, but not exclusively. There are even some blue-collar employees that they're paying because they're desperate for employees. It's hard to find qualified labor, and many South Africans are very qualified. So that link is for Lili. You go there, it goes directly to Lili van der Plas. That's who you interact with, okay? So if you want, do that, okay? Neil spent some time with Keith in Coventry. Oh, that's pretty cool, Neil. Why didn't you tell me that? You can't talk to Keith. He's my viewer. You're not allowed to go talk to Keith in Coventry. Who said you could do that, Neil? Anyway, so that's available. And it's not just white collar, it's blue collar jobs too. And they're located apparently all over the country. So it might be a job near you, or you may have to relocate. You take a look at it. It's your prerogative. Anyway, again, so that's there. Now, one more thing I want to share about. Some pretty amazing stuff here, folks, about America. It's got some pretty amazing sites. I don't know if you're familiar with the Chaco culture, which is a culture that built pueblos in New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and Arizona, primarily in New Mexico. And the Chaco Canyon is well known for its pueblos, and it's a national monument. It's protected by the National Park Service and well worth visiting if you're in the Albuquerque area of New Mexico. The center of an ancient world. Explore the monumental structures and breathtaking landscape of Chaco, a thriving regional center for the ancestral Pueblo people from 850 to 1250 AD. I don't do this BS politically correct common era. That's anti-Christian hatred. We say AD, Anno Domini, after death of Christ. So, yeah, that's what that is. Chaco Canyon is a sacred and deeply personal place for many indigenous peoples throughout the Southwest. National Historical Park and World Heritage Site. There you go. So, accessibility. Let's take a look if they... so, this is visiting Chaco Canyon. That's one we want to check out here. Look at these Pueblo villages. Yep. Learn about the park. Chaco culture, their history and culture, their pottery. Kids can become a junior ranger. You mean? Pretty amazing place. Una Vida, Hungo Pavi, Chetro Kettle, Pueblo Bonito. That's one of the most famous in Pueblo Bonito. Casa Rinconada, Pueblo del Arroyo, the Petroglyph Trail, and some outliers. Those are Aztec ruins, not Pueblo. Yep. So there you go, folks. That's a little bit about America. Yeah. So there you go. It is fascinating. Review this weekend's rugby. No, we should, Matthew. It was a horrible rugby weekend. But, ironically, out of 8 matches this weekend, I had 4 of them with the bonus point. I picked it within the margin of error, with the margin of point spread. I won 4, but I lost 4 games. Spent some time with Keith, says Neil. Okay, start with an NGO that provides refugee children, provides housing, triple dipping government money. Light Rain, I haven't got your email yet. I will. Thank you for sending it. Okay. Didn't really think it matters. If you make friends with Americans in another country, how does it make a difference if they're Republican or Democrat? It makes a big difference. Some people can't divorce themselves from politics. Met some Democrats in Cape Town. They weren't discussing politics. It was irrelevant. Then how do you know they were Democrats? Tricks doesn't make any sense. Why are you talking about this? You met Democrats in Cape Town. We weren't discussing politics. Then how do you know they're Democrats? Did they wear a sign that said Democrat? And how do you know? If they're not discussing politics, how do you know they're Democrats? Who cares if Barack Obama visited Cape Town? Tricks, what are you looking for here? You're looking to be disruptive. Treat all ads on YouTube as scams. Well, I treat them as a small source of revenue for the program to support the travel and the production. Okay. What shocks me is protesters' behavior towards police, says Krista. Yep, same police they want to call when they... Yep, exactly. Never expect a response on our email. We do know that it would be impossible to respond to all. Just wondering if we even had the correct email. Dion, that's why I said send another one. Okay? Send another one. Because I don't know where to look. See, the problem is that people send me emails and I don't know who they are. I mean, I look at the subjects, I go through them. If I know someone I already know, or there's an urgent, pressing matter that I'm already working on, I'll address it. I go through as many as I can. I delete the spam ones that are in there because they want it in my folder too, and the ones that are unnecessary. That's why I say send it to that email. It's the only email I use for that. I've had thousands of emails in my personal email account, which I never gave to anybody, and people think they're clever. Also, I've had hundreds of emails sent to my Outlook email account, which I've told people is only for PayPal. I only use my Outlook account for PayPal. And what I mean by that, just so I can have an email address for, that's it. That's it. That's it. But people still send me email there. I don't answer those. I don't have time for that. Yes, the riots are not because of ICE, but the rioters think it is. Yep. I don't know how many civilians died under Obama by ICE hands. Probably quite a few. 2 have died under Trump. Well, no, a couple have died in detention. So 4 or 5 probably have died. Sitting them all watching live a bit while my kids are taking the train ride. Okay. You mean like a little train in the mall? Winter Olympics start this week. I think it's tomorrow they start. The Olympics start tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it the 6th? Maybe it's the 6th. I thought it was tomorrow. Milano Cortina. Okay. No, it's the 5th. The event's starting the 5th. Yep. Or that's the 6th. Okay, so the 5th, the first events, but the opening ceremony is on the 6th. So we're just a few days away from it. Yep. As AI gets better, no video information will be trusted. You'll have to ask another AI if it's real. Yeah, Light Rain, you might be right about that. Someone just sent me something. Phone is blowing up over here. Let's see what it is. Okay. Nothing critically important. Demoralization is a media weapon. It is. It is. It is. What happened with the story about Harry's wife being part of the yachting fraternity prior to... I have no idea. I don't know, Charles. And the most awesome honeymoon in Port St. John's 50 years ago. Wow, Bitter Ender. Met Lee Marvin, Roger Moore, and Barbara Perkins there filming Shout at the Devil. Wow. It's so bad now, but IOL is reporting it's a great place to go. Wow, Lee Marvin, Roger Moore, and Barbara Perkins. That's incredible, man. Change my user game again. People that know me in my town and then come spew their false news in my ears. Exactly. Seen a lot of AI news claim wild things, but yes, it's still possible. Know the difference because they all use the same voices. Yep. My father and his future brother-in-law used to swim and tube in the one day his brother-in-law got swept down the river. My dad raced barefoot through the forest and rescued. Wow, that's crazy. Weren't the ladies paid for their services? I have no idea from the Meadow. Saw a video of a guy saying people should check their parents' and grandparents' phones. They're all spending all their inheritances on T-Mobile. Thought they're untouchable. People will do whatever they can and get away with. Yep, exactly. Some people will. Randy Andy in the tabloids, they called him, okay? I haven't seen the home interview of Epstein. Carolyn, thank you for the 70 rand. Saw a video of a vehicle driving a chat in 4 ways. Perhaps it's related. I don't know. I don't know if JPP might be the one person does it. As a cyclist, spend hundreds of thousands on kilometers on the road. I can tell you, there's cars and bicycles in another world. Yep. Yeah, it's really sad what happened to that guy. But wait, am I allowed to tell that story because he's black? Who's Kwa? This is Kwadasi. Oh, what is Kwadasi asking for? Well, I'm done with the news, so now I'll entertain other things. So if you need to need to tell me how you found the channel, you can tell me now. Pat's Pat, you can do it now. You don't have to wait. You can tell me now. No, I'm in episode 5. I was told 4, but then they corrected and said it's episode 5. So, how was episode 4, Just Another Girl? I haven't seen anything except episode 1. Dion Oliveira says, don't play by the rules. Yeah, let me look for Beloftelans. I have episode 1 and 2. I don't have 3 or 4. Kathy sent me WhatsApp. You sent me a bunch of WhatsApps about songs, Kathy. I haven't had a chance to look at them. Are there plans for coming to South Africa? Pat, well, it's not something I discuss because people have targeted me and I've had death threats. So why would I tell anybody that? Yeah, just another girl. So not impressed, trying to appear to be fair, but very one-sided. I agree. What little I saw, they're giving the appearance of being fair, but it's very one-sided. Yep. You're welcome, Angelique. So Pat's Pat, what's the word, man? Hey, Grayman, what's going on? Oh, well, Andreas found me through Rugby Senate, yep, which is kind of weird. I try to get people to go find Rugby Senate from this channel, but people actually find me from Rugby Senate come this way. You're welcome, Bossy Cop. You heard me through. How do you find Professor G before you find me? He didn't start doing this till like March or April. I've been doing this for 6 years. That's interesting. How do you find Professor G? Just shows you how YouTube promotes content and shadow bans other people. I was the one to cover this from February 7th. That's just ironic. I mean, a lot of people found Professor G because of me. I didn't know many people found me because of Professor G. That's interesting. You're welcome, Bossy Cop, for the news. Yeah, I need to go, says Krista. Okay, you take care. I was at work, and one of my coworkers came up and said, are we abusing you? I hear from the news we're abusing you, people, and oppressing you. I was so caught off guard he mentioned refugees. No, he's not a constitutional law expert. He's an asylum law expert. Yep, asylum law. You found me through Shelley Hepburn. Really? That's fascinating. She's mostly said bad things about me. Visited a friend. Found you during COVID, but only because we can remember last year. Yeah, Loretta, I know you've been around a long time. No, it's that long, though. Nana, you're welcome. So, all right, so I'm waiting more from Pat's Pat. So, are we abusing you? I hear from the stupid comment is just, unless the guy was joking, it's just abuse in itself. Then I learned the program and all the details. Okay. Oh, I had to Google it at home, and your Google show. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Yeah, Google shows my YouTube. But, oh, that's a super chat. Sorry, I thought that was a membership. Thank you for this super chat. Winners do not complain. Yes, whiners complain, but winners don't. Thank you for the 70 Rand. Okay, really late. It's okay, Johan. You can go back and watch from the beginning. Found the Colonel randomly scrolling the day the program was announced. Had been watching ever since. Well, cool, Johan Olivier. In March, she couldn't stop talking about. I know. And all of it was lies and all false. I remember the whole situation where I was called a liar because it said you had to wait a year to apply for a green card as a refugee, and adamantly said, no, I'm a liar. I'm misleading people. Not true. You have to wait a year. It's the law. Professor G, who knows the law, confirmed it. And people can go look up the law. Again, I looked up the law. So that's how I knew. Also, I already knew anyway, but I was confirming that nothing had changed. Yeah, I'm not surprised that Steve Eisen is blaming the farmers for it. He is a disgusting person when it comes to that. Yeah, he's self-interested. Let me see if Biz News put my video out from this morning yet. We recorded late. That was my fault. Biz News, South Africa. I don't know if they've posted it yet. Let me see. Doesn't look like. No, it doesn't look like it's been posted yet. I'll look and see if Chris sent me anything. No, she hasn't sent me anything, so it hasn't been posted yet. It must be editing it now. Through Audrey Hepburn. She's dead. Good actress, though. You see through walls glass. Thinking Now has been a viewer since 2021. Wow. Anton Mulder's being funny. I accidentally came across this program a year ago while doom scrolling YouTube. COVID through Troy, likes from Steve Hoffmeyer. Okay, cool. Steve's awesome. CS Colonel Wyatt's channel to me. It was before the refugee program. I only started commenting in lives recently, though. Okay. Heinrich from the Epstein. Oh, that's how you started following me, because you were in the Epstein files. Thank you, Joe, for your 9 months membership. You're very welcome. YouTube actually recommended a video to Colonel Wyatt, and that's how we found it, just for the program. Yeah, it's crazy. Occasionally it breaks through. Yeah, I hope he's going to be there too. I haven't checked my mail today. He actually, Flesh and we actually have just been issued with 100 permits to visit other parts of Oxford by car this year. That's insane. That's insane. He was not serious joking at all. He was very serious. He was expecting the answer from me. Yeah, exactly, Pat. That's why I'm saying that that's a form of oppression. It was meant to intimidate you. He meant to get his jollies off by going out to intimidate you. That's just whoever that employee was. Idiots. So I'm presuming that he was not your same ethnicity, and that's why he was acting in that fashion. Yep. Videos on Rhodesia during the COVID. Oh, yeah. Well, I did, Light Rain. Hey, Mark Myberg, thank you for the 35 Rand, Mark. Yeah, I did. I used to do Rhodesia Day every day. Every year, excuse me. It's looking, what was that? Come on, jumped ahead. It's looking for someone that broadcasts around post a visit to the White House and found a beautiful gray beard eating popcorn. Yeah. Oh, that's what you found me that day. We had 40-some thousand views that day. We had 28,000 watching it live. That was insane. Found you through my son. He sent one of your videos. Cool. Do not comply. After that, Trump, the program and such things was mentioned so many times, and some have very bad taste. So many channels in Southern Minority X at the moment, but all are fairly similar. Unique anchors that are now worth the time. There's just too much to cover. Yep. My 32-year-old son told me about your channel last March. Well, thank your son, Jennifer. Appreciate that. Miss the old videos of Colonel's rants. Oh, yeah, I definitely did some rants, didn't I? That's why I have gray hair. What streaming service do you use to look at rugby games? Well, Tom D, I don't use a service. I use multiple services. I was listening to the Sevens tournament. By the way, who won the Sevens? I didn't even look. See, Singapore. I was listening to Sevens through Paramount Plus, which I have to pay $13 a month for. It's ridiculous. And I still have to watch adverts. That's bullshit. So Paramount Plus. Then I've also got Peacock for other stuff, like the Six Nations will be on Peacock. I have to pay for that as well, although it's free at the moment, but I'll have to pay eventually, part of my cable bill. Then there's the Rugby TV Pass. Rugby Pass TV. Then there's also the World Rugby site sometimes. And then finally, Flow Rugby. So it just depends on what it is. But the ones I've been showing you lately, that's all through Flow Rugby. Found you through Rugby Ascendant last year. Okay, cool. Sorry, Corey. Thank you for that. Well, yeah, Joan, I have become I've been a frequent guest for a long time. But I've been the guest the last 3 weeks on the Neil DeBeer program. I don't know if that'll continue. I've been asked to do it. By the way, I don't get compensation for that, in case anybody's wondering. I do that as a generosity. That picture is from 20 odd years ago when I joined YouTube. Never watched anything until February. Oh, well, I joined YouTube 2006. Zimbabwe and saw Colonel did some work in Zim. Yep. Sent a link of Rob to my son. He called me and said I should check out your link. He thought you were great. Okay, cool. Okay. Truth Report dropped a new video today. Yeah, but not mine. I've given them 2 videos. I did an interview with Cilliers Brink, which I haven't seen appear yet, and I did a video about colored couple over here in the States, and neither one of those has appeared in the Truth Report. I did the one a month ago. I recorded a month ago, and they haven't published it yet. I'm starting to get a little irritated with the Truth Report. Yep. And I'm a founding member of it. Where exactly I first came up. Cool. Briberies might have been how you did it. Yep. I applied for the program today. I used your channel to make an informative choice. Been applying. No, you can't even get an H-2A work visa. That's crazy. Steve Hoffmeyer had good reviews on you. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Charles. Told the chat broken and yesterday my neighbor daughter went shopping. 3-man broke the security gate. Still good, but she used panic button. Okay, I'm glad she's okay, Corey. It's good to hear she's okay. Been around since COVID. Found your channel today. Rompies went White House. Yeah, exactly. Did you? Yes, I did, Mark Myberg. I did do a Neil DeBeer today. Yep, NDB. But it was late. It was my fault. I was busy helping refugees till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I missed my start time. And so I had to apologize to Chris Den. So it's going to run a little bit later, but it should be up soon. Big rugby fan. Listened to you for some time. Then I heard you mention news channels, so I listened. Yep. Thank you to all the friends I have here. Cheers. Okay. YouTube introduced you when the refugee program started. Texas. Okay. Garrett, that's not funny. Just scroll, see if there's a podcast where he speaks about his AI song. Oh, the one that I made? I've been on and off the channel for years. I remember the Colonel's first days, just keep changing handle. Okay, that's fine, Quadasi. Okay. Yeah, March last year because I was only doing it. I have maybe a repeated question, but when refugee gets green card, does that mean the refugee status falls away completely for permanent residence status? Well, green card is permanent resident. So you're permanent residence. But you mean you're no longer a refugee? No, because you're entitled to that support. Well, no, I guess you do because it's 5 years you get support. So yeah. But if you don't, yeah, I guess it goes away. Yeah, you're no longer considered a refugee, I guess. My mom was following quite some time. She forwarded your channel to me. I wish I followed you before refugee program would have started right away. You just did intake questionnaire. Wow. Wow. That's pretty tardy. Good luck with that. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap it up here. If you want, you're going to be directed over to Ronaldo's stream. He's live. Let me pull him up and see what he's talking about here. I've got the redirect on, so you don't have to do anything. It just takes you straight there. Come on, YouTube. God, this is so slow. Ronaldo has 163 people, so let's go give him some love, okay? So you guys go give Ronaldo a little bit of love, okay? All right, thanks for being here. We got the refugee stream is coming up at 2 p.m., so that's an hour and a half, okay? See you in an hour and a half, 2 p.m., all right? The Cafe Clutch. Thanks, guys. Be sure to hit the like button. You got questions about refugee? Let's talk about it then. I'm also going to talk about some of the treatment refugees been getting and how it's less than satisfactory, okay? See you shortly. Cheers.